Hi guys, I'm John Murdoch. Welcome to Introduction to Drawing. This is a free introductory drawing lesson, which is kind of like a sample of what we do in our regular studio practice. And we're going to go over some really cool concepts today. So you can follow along with the PDF below. I'm going to be showing you how to make this. We're going to go over light lines, holding your pencil, a thing called blocking in, a concept called negative shapes. They aren't really negative. It's actually a really cool concept. Nothing to be afraid of. We're going to go over outline, and then we're going to do some really basic shading. And basically, I'm going to walk you through how to really just do a drawing from the reference we have provided in the PDF. And on that note, I hope you guys are ready. And you just need a pencil, piece of paper, and an eraser. Really simple. And on that note, let's go. So, wanted to introduce you to this idea of light lines. And if you notice, I just have a regular sharpened pencil right here. When we get more advanced, we can get something a little fancier. But for now, number 2 pencil with regular eraser there. It's going to be fine. And I want you to pay attention to how I'm going to use the pencil here. So I'm going to make these light lines. If you notice, I'm kind of on the side of the pencil. I'm on the side of the lead as it's touching its paper. In fact, I can actually hold it almost entirely on its side, just so the tip hits a little bit. It's very easy to get a light line. And my hand is kind of ghosting on the paper a little bit too. So my hand's resting and I'm making these light, thin lines. When we learn to write in school, we make hard lines, and we oftentimes will turn the pencil. If you notice, my pencil angle has just changed. But we are going to draw with lighter lines. So if I want light lines, I need to hold my pencil differently. Okay, so we're going to throw in this idea of a block in. And what we're going to do with a block in, we're going to use thin lines. And we're going to basically just do this kind of ghosting around the image. Like you're not trying to get it perfect, you're just kind of throwing up an initial image. So when we get to about the half point here, you can see this makes a little widening here. Just as a basic concept, this is a pretty symmetrical object, so throwing in a bonus idea here of symmetry. So whatever happens on one side has to happen on the other. Again, I'm not trying to get this perfect right now. I'm just throwing up an image for us to look at. So, not bad. So what the block-in does, what a block-in is it's like you're overestimating a little bit, and you're surrounding your object with this scaffolding. And I like to think of it like if you go to New York or something and they're doing work on a building, you don't sometimes see the building underneath, but you see the scaffolding around it. If you do a good block-in with your objects, and this goes right up to painting and all sorts of other things, it'll have like this kind of ghost of the image. Like you might not really see it, but you can get an idea that it's in there. And one characteristic of a block-in, I'm going to do a little bit of this shadow shape too. One characteristic of a block-in is that it's very easy to remove. So you're not gouging into the paper. That's why we're doing light lines, and that's why we're holding the pencil the way I'm holding it. Is because now I can just do this really simple shape here. And like I said, I'm ready to move this thing at any point in time. So let's throw in another idea, and the idea is that of negative shapes. So this idea with negative shapes is that if I do a box around my object, and you really you need like a vertical and a horizontal to fit it into. Well, now I can actually use this negative shape to see what my object is. And I'm getting a little harder now so I can see it. And whether or not you do this really super hard or not, it doesn't matter. But I really want you to see the space in here. And this really helps get your shapes right. This using negative shapes effectively is a total game changer and will help you tremendously. I do this every single time I draw. This isn't like a beginner thing. It's a always thing. Assuming you want to draw accurately and get what's really in there. So if I did it there, I'm going to do it on the other side. And check my symmetry here. But as you can see, the outside here, it goes out a little bit more. So there are ways to get more accurate, and as you go deeper into the drawing programs, whether with us or with somebody else like you, there are things you can do to check your accuracy. Right now I'm just really trying to get you guys started. So we have a negative shape in there, we have the negative shape on this side. Okay, now that we have we've done a bunch of cool things here. We've done light lines, how to hold a pencil, how to do a block in, and how to apply negative shapes to see our shapes a little bit better. So what we're going to do now is we're going to focus on outline a little bit more, and then I'm going to walk you through a little bit of shading after that. So one of the great things with this is if you did light lines, and we're trying to get this thing to look a little more, I don't know, cleaned up and presentable. Whoops, that was I needed that in there. Then we can actually use this eraser to kind of remove lines we don't want. If there's other lines we do want, we can keep them in there. And basically with the outline is you're making a commitment. So this needed a little help here. I'm just basically committing now to especially the lines that I like, and we can use our eraser and we can trim away things we don't like. If you notice, my hand on the pencil has switched back to the writing modality. So now that I'm a little more comfortable with what I put in and I used those light lines earlier, I'm actually using the writing hand, like the cursive print hand. Anyone that went to Catholic school learned to write cursive, or just school in general, I guess, up to a certain age. And this little line in here, it's what we call a shadow line. I'm gonna kind of ghost this thing in there too a little bit. So we don't have a lot of time to get into shadow theory because this is an introductory lesson, but I can walk through this a little bit. And it's just supposed to be simple. Simple, simple, simple. And I actually like a lot of my instruction lines, so let's leave them in. All right, wonderful. That's not bad there. We're going to do this side. Good. Okay. So you can, of course, erase your outside lines. And this is going to make our outline look a little better. You can always adjust while you're going. I make shape adjustments right up to the very last seconds of doing a drawing. I've done portraits before and spent like 100 hours on them, and I don't stop making adjustments right up to the point where I give it away, just because, there's an expression in therapy, which I think applies to this, or I've heard anyway, and it's if you spot it, you got it. And basically, if you see something off in your work that bothers you, take it as a gift and explore that thing, because you are looking at it. No one else can see it for you. I can't even see it for you. I can show you a bunch of things, but you are in charge of your drawing. Good. So now we have a nice vase shape, and we got ready for shading. Okay, so with shading, we're going to do something very simple here. And if you need to sharpen your pencil along the way, do it. I think I have just enough sharpness in here. You can do that liberally. I think you haven't seen me do it, but please do it whenever you need to. But the basic idea with shading here is we're going to do a little side motion. And we're just going to get this little kind of scruff here. So if I'm doing if I'm a right-handed person, my strokes are going to go this way. If I'm a left-handed person, they're going to go like that. It's about 45 degrees, something like that. And you're just lightly kind of putting this thing in there. I'm not going for the final value. I'm just putting a light value in. Wherever there's dark, I'm not really distinguishing between anything fancy, like, oh, it changes, or it does this, or it does that. Nope, just get a generic dark in there. This is basic shading. This is just going to get you, it's going to get you right in the game. That's all we're looking to do right now. So just the handling alone of putting a shadow patch down, it sounds really simple, but it's really worth exploring, because you're going to be doing this for the rest of your drawing life. Again, whether you're a hobbyist or you're going to go pro or whatever, this is a solid thing I'm showing you here. Okay. So as I'm doing this, I can say we're trying to fill in this shadow shape that we drew in the earlier part of the outline. And as I guide you guys in this process, I would say that if you're going to continue, either in our system or really any realist system, this is pretty solid information, but you're going to be looking for a shadow pattern, a dark light pattern. This is the outline, and then they call this edge here the shadow line. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my cat's trying to get in the room, so if there's a scuffing noise, just imagine a cute black and white cat trying to get into the recording area here. Okay, so we have that. And now that I have this in there, if I want to spend a little time and get this a little closer, what I can do is lighten up my touch, especially in the areas where it's soft. So if it's soft like right here, I can actually make my marks a little softer. And what I'm doing is actually starting with this idea that there's a gradient. So just practice this little motion here. I'm going darker, and to do darker I have to press harder, but then as I go lighter, my touch lightens. It's a gradient. If I want the piano note to go really strong, I press harder, and then if I want it lighter, I have to be deliberate but lighter in my touch. Till I'm at the point where it's like there's a plane getting ready to take off the paper. There'll be a point where you're just in air. That's how you make a gradient. So any of these little soft spots in here, those are going to require a little softening. So anywhere, there we go, this little guy. turns. This has a little softness in there. And I'm making this look maybe too easy because I'm just doing it directly. But you know, you might have to go in, and I actually did get that shape a little off there. That wasn't for show, actually. I didn't get that the first time. But what this does is it gets you a nice kind of easy image that you can work with. You need something to work with, and you're not going to get it perfect right away. I don't get it perfect right away either. So what you do is you put something in, and then you adjust, and you look for other things. And I noticed this is a little narrower, this thing. So as you're going, you know, you can adjust things. But as you can see, it's starting to get this feeling of what this is. And soft lines on the inside of a object generally mean that something's rolling or that it's rounder. And something harder, hard lines, generally indicate that there's a sharp edge, which kind of makes sense. There's this cast shadow line that's kind of falling there. That's a little sharper. It's falling around the form. We have a little sharp spot right here because there's like a little edge of the form. So I'm actually just kind of darkening and going liberally now with my shading. If you need to darken it and you see it's darker, by all means, you can start kind of doing this free-for-all now. But I did want to really emphasize that the first part of this, of just laying in that dark and then getting the soft areas in, that's like your core shadow statement. Like, you need to do that, and like I said, you're going to be doing that the rest of your drawing life. If you continue with it, it'll be good information for you. So one way artists oftentimes will build from here is they might build off of this shadow line and then start getting it to go into your dark area, but then maybe going into this area too as you need to. I can see there's a little lighter spot down here. And we call this a mid-tone or a mid-light. And again, I'm not going for perfect right now. This is a basic lesson. So I'm just trying to get you guys into these ideas. I'm assuming this is the first time you've ever done this, and you can copy my hand, and hopefully you guys will be on your way toward your fulfilling drawing life. And trust me, I know how frustrating this is in the beginning. You want good information. You want, it just looks easy when, I'm guessing it looks easy when I'm doing it. And you watch other people do it and you're like, wow, how did they do that so well? Whatever you do, don't stop. If you want to do it, just keep going. Don't stop. My advice to you is start and don't stop. Take a break. If you get distracted, that's fine. It happens to everybody. It happens to me. Don't stop. And let's go here. Good. So this is a nice place to stop here. We have a nice image. We have some shadow built up in here. You could, of course, keep going on this. You know, you could pull out reflected lights. You could get every last exact thing in here, and that would be totally fine. But this is a basic drawing lesson, and I just wanted to give you guys some good information, and I think we got it. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. This was an introductory drawing lesson. Hopefully you guys followed along with the PDF that accompanies it. You can find that in the link below. Also below you can find information on more classes. This is a sample lesson of the kind of the greater products that we have. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope if this is your first time around, I hope it gave you some insights and some tools and tricks that you're going to be using the rest of your drawing life. If you've been around the block, hopefully this gave you something new to think about and maybe a different way. Either way, I hope you guys have a successful drawing future, and we'll hopefully see you around the studio. Thank you.